It's Cougar Sports Saturday.
It's complete. Another touchdown!
Cougar Sports Saturday. A presentation of KSL Sports.
Left wing for three. He got it again!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here are your hosts, Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
This is Cougar Sports Saturday, breaking down a huge BYU win over Oklahoma State, 38-35. I don't even know where to go with this. There's so much to discuss. Let's touch on the defense a little bit because they've been so brilliant all season long, Mitch. That was a tough performance last night for the defense. Do you know that all of Oklahoma State's scoring drives were like 75 yards or longer? And they were perfect in the red zone. 4 of 4 in the red zone. Their only non-red zone score was that Ollie Gordon touchdown run early in the game. They run for 269 yards. They convert 11 of 15 third and fourth down. And yet BYU wins. That's what's so miraculous about the win.
17 plays, 76 yards, 8:22 of game action. Oklahoma State's touchdown drive to go up 35-31 on BYU. Ollie Gordon looked like Ollie Gordon of the past. He was brilliant last night against BYU. He had 16 carries, 107 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. He also had a receiving touchdown where he hurdled Falatau Satuala. Ollie Gordon was brilliant, but Isaiah Glasker, man, laying some hits on Gordon. Back-to-back plays. Gordon takes carry, hit by Glasker. Gordon goes out. He comes back after being on the bike. He tells ESPN's Paul Carcaterra, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm going back in. One play in, Glasker hits him again, and Gordon goes down. Crazy stuff. That was a physical football game, but Gordon, heck of a football player, and it was good to see Gordon have success. And honestly, it was good to see BYU's defense tested. And you got to be, because
they failed the test.
They did. And Jay Hill, you still get this win. So much to learn. And I'm fascinated to see. It wasn't kind of the right moment to talk about it after the game. But coming up, starting on Monday, how do they approach a very short week getting ready for UCF? Because everything's consolidated. It's not a Friday game, but it's a 2 time zone game where you're expected to leave on Thursday. So the timeline kind of shrinks. Today's a little bit of a recovery day for BYU players, and Sunday, of course, they have off. So you better hit the ground running to get back on track. And, I believe the defense will, but to give up 269 to an Oklahoma State team on the ground that the run is coming. They had no threats through the air. Rangel, Bowman, not good passers. Bowman started 0 of 5 with a pick. He got into a groove for there a little bit, and credit to him. He's battled through a lot, but, BYU's defense has got to get better from this and not let this become, a trend in the back half of the season.
We've opened the phone lines, 801-575-8255. This is normally reserved for Monday night's Cougar Nation, but considering the moment, considering the wave of momentum and the excitement, we're opening it up here on Cougar Sports Saturday, and we have a special caller, Troy Dunn from the BYU Cruise. Troy, what is going on, brother?
Mitch and Matt, I am still trembling from sitting in that stadium last night and watching the miracle of all miracles for a finish. I can't even breathe. I just ran an errand to Smith's Grocery for my wife, wearing all my BYU garb. I can't walk 5 feet down the aisle. People are talking. People are buzzing. There's something happening. It's way bigger than 7-0. It's really just blowing my mind. I'm very superstitious, so I always want to be careful what I say. I was very lucky and blessed to be a football recruit for BYU in 1984. I did not end up getting the call to get the scholarship. I had an injury. I ended up at Pittsburgh State. But spending that whole season thinking I was going to be a Cougar, making trips up here, spending time in a meeting with Lavelle Edwards, walking around with team, having seniors drive me on recruiting visits around the city to go do fun stuff. That energy is here this year, and I don't want to jinx it. I'm just telling you, there's something in the air. It wasn't a coincidence that the 1984 veterans were sitting on that field last night. There's something going on, Mitch and Matt. There's something happening, and again, I don't want to voodoo it, but we have started something here, and there's some sort of momentum here that I don't even know if all of us can appreciate. Perhaps Kalani and the guys can. I've lived for 28 years in Florida. I've only recently moved to Utah. That UCF team we're about to come across, you're going to see a different experience. Because our guys, even in the moment of battle when things look dire, remain connected. Those UCF guys begin to pick at themselves. And this will be the only prediction I make today, Mitch. You will see a self-destruction happen at UCF if we are able to execute next Saturday the way we ended this game this week. And that's ultimately part of what's happening, I think, this year with the BYU Cougars. There's an invisible weave between these guys and Kalani and the momentum behind them. And watching that fan base last night, the reaction and the emotions. I was standing around grown men with tears in their eyes while they danced like little girls, jumping up and down in that last 60 seconds. And I didn't call to make a plug for the BYU Cruise. It's filling up fast and it doesn't need it. But we have the most struggle taking these calls from people who are booking cabins because they really just want to sit on the phone with us as they're booking and testify to the feelings they have about BYU and what's happening this year and the magic. And so without saying anything that would be jinxing, I just want to say that what we all felt and experienced last night is going to continue to roll forward because there's something happening that is bigger than us. This is a very big year for Brigham Young University football.
Thanks for the call, Troy. Great stuff. It does feel like something magical is going on.
Troy Dunn, BYU Cruise holding it down. Yeah, that's big-time stuff. Imagine going on that cruise if BYU has an undefeated season, seeing Kalani go down the slide. He wanted more slides. He wanted more family action. So good times right now for BYU football.
Let's get out to the phone line.
Let's get back out to the line.
We promised Robbie Bullough, and he's with us now. He used to do Cougar Sports Saturday back in the day, and now he's doing some sideline work for Gridiron Radio Network. You were on the field for that final drive, Robbie. Describe what the energy and the vibes were like at Lavelle Edwards Stadium on that game-winning touchdown drive.
That was pretty incredible, guys. I don't know who was more winded, me or Darius Lassiter, when we did our post-game interview, because I was preparing to do Oklahoma State interviews post-game. So we were going to talk to Mike Gundy, Ollie Gordon, Presley. And so I was on kind of their end. And as BYU's moving, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to have to get over there quickly. And so I don't know what my 40 time is, but it was probably faster last night than it's ever been as I booked it over to the other side and to get Darius Lassiter and Jake Retzloff post-game. But it was just the swing of emotions there. We're prepping for a potential Oklahoma State win, and then BYU just pulling out their magic that they seem to do in Provo all the time.
You've experienced some amazing wins for BYU this season, Kansas State, and now this one with the Gridiron Radio Network. How loud was it last night inside the stadium after that catch from Darius?
Yeah, in fact, Noah and John, the Gridiron broadcasters, were asking me that, and I said the best way I can say it is usually, because down there on the sideline, I've got like a double earmuffed headset. I usually have one on so I can hear them and one off so I can have the ambiance. I was double earmuffing it because I could barely hear the broadcasters. That's how loud it was down there on the field. I've heard Lavelle get pretty loud at times, but it was just something special last night. I think each win, just the fan base, it's starting to build, and they're feeling some excitement of something special, and it just unleashed with Darius's touchdown, and that was just there was just magic. I told Jake in our post-game interview, I said, you did like 2/3 of that work, yardage-wise, getting it to him. And then those last couple of moves that he made to get into the end zone, doing it right in front of the rock was just, special.
Robbie, last thing for you. Jake, I think there was a mixed feeling about Jake when the season began. And now that he's led a 6-0 team and had that miraculous game-winning touchdown drive, what did you sense from Jake in that post-game interview, and what did he say? And do you feel like he has settled into being the starting quarterback at BYU?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it post-game, he and I, where, I told him that this game felt very similar to the one in Stillwater last year, except it was Oklahoma State that had kind of the late heroics to take a lead and then ultimately pull it out in double overtime. And, Jake here, he's the same quarterback that was in that game, but now he's the one pulling out the win against Oklahoma State. So I think it just showed the growth that Jake has, as well as what the team has had all year. And last night, I think it was the kind of win that a team that's destined for something special has to have. Now, still a lot of football left to play. Who knows what's going to happen? But any team that, goes undefeated, competes for a conference championship, there's always kind of that one game you point to where they snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat. And last night felt like that game for BYU. So we'll see. If this ends up being a special year for BYU, I think later on in the season we'll point back to this game and say that was the one. That was the game where they had to be resilient and they had to show what they could do, and they were able to do that.
He's Robbie Bullough, sideline reporter on the Gridiron Radio Network, friend of the program here on Cougar Sports Saturday. Great work, Robbie. And, hopefully we see you on more BYU games, because every time you're on the sidelines, these games are just magical for BYU.
Hey, Gridiron's 3-0 in Provo, so I've told the guys they got to keep coming back.
Thanks, Robbie. Appreciate it. Great stuff, and we'll talk again down the road.
All right.
Before we get to break, Beehive Meals, a Utah-based meal prep service, they have changed the game for my family, Mitch. I've got 2 kids under 4 years old. My oldest son actually turns 4 in a couple of days, but as you can imagine, with 2 crazy children that I don't know if it's probably in my blood, but for whatever reason, I'm a super busy, active guy. I have a hard time sitting down. I always want to be doing something. I pass it on to my kids. That makes dinner time incredibly tough. And my wife was like, I need a break. Help me. We need to find a way to make dinner time easier. Enter Beehive Meals. The slow cooker meal has been so convenient, so easy, adding time back into our lives, and yet it still tastes good.
Yeah, it simplifies your evening routine so you can spend more time enjoying your meal and less time stressing over it. And that's what's great about Beehive Meals. Many of the customers, share stories how Beehive Meals has, kind of transformed their hectic evenings, like you've said, into a more relaxed and enjoyable family time. And we've, experienced the same with our experience with Beehive Meals. And the menu's great, too, with Beehive Meals. They got the barbecue chicken, the carne asada, the cheeseburger mac. Beehive Meals, it's a local company, too, that's just been growing. They've delivered over 2.5 million meals over the Intermountain West, serving customers in Utah, Idaho, Colorado, Arizona, and Nevada. Check them out on beehivemeals.com.
Let's take a break. Conference check-in. Big 12 coming up next. We'll look around the world of the Big 12.